Welcome everyone to my channel. My name is Monica. I'm a tarot reader and astrologer, and today I'm having a bit of a chat. I just made a cup of tea and I thought I'd sit down and talk about my first experience working as a tarot reader. And I'm doing this, I guess, in a way, it's a way for me to record my own history and my own personal experiences in the tarot world, but also to give some of my personal guidance for anyone who's thinking about making that huge leap from reading for yourself to reading for paid clients. So my story starts around 2010. I think I was about 30 years old at the time, and I had been doing readings for friends and acquaintances, for a couple of years by that stage. And that was great. I mean, it's a great way to practice when you read for friends. However, while it has certain benefits to it, mostly around the fact that you don't really have to step outside of your comfort zone very much, at least I didn't, it does have some serious drawbacks if you do wish to practice as a reader professionally. Of course, the main one of those is that you just don't get the level of experience and also the level of feedback that you do when you read for the general public that you don't really know out there. So that year I'd finished up my tarot course. I'd been studying tarot formally with a great teacher from Mercier in New Zealand. And she asked if any of us in that tarot course were interested in reading at a local festival that happened, it happened at the time yearly in Auckland. It was the Greyland Festival. I'm not sure if that's still going on at the moment. So I put my hand up for that, somewhat apprehensively. I certainly was very nervous about doing it, but at the same time I knew that I wanted to practice tarot a bit more formally, and I wanted to gain that experience of reading for people that I didn't know anything about. And I thought a festival would be a great idea because I knew that the readings were only about, I can't remember if they were like 10 minutes or 20 minutes in length, but they were short readings. And so I thought, that it's not going to be too intense, basically. And of course I was wrong because the day arrived and off I went down from my allocated time slot. And yeah, I don't know, looking back, what I actually thought it would be like. I guess I was a little bit naive. Maybe I was a little bit buffered by some of the questions that people ask in real life, because I was reading for friends up until that stage. And, your friends are great. If they have any critique of your work, they're going to be supportive in expressing that, and also the questions, I felt that they weren't really difficult questions perhaps. But anyway, so I went along thinking, it was a great way to start, and it certainly is. I certainly recommend it to any of you thinking about reading tarot professionally, starting with a festival. It's a really, really fantastic way to get that experience. Because the readings, as I mentioned, they were only about 10 or 20 minutes in length, and you get to see a lot of diverse people with lots of different questions, so you really get to exercise your practice in tarot. So I went and I distinctly remember sitting down and being, of course, being very nervous. I wish I could say I was all relaxed and in the zone, but that's not the case. I was nervous. For anyone who's thinking about reading tarot professionally in that sense, and they think that they're afraid of doing it because of being nervous, do it anyway. When the time comes for you to step up, it's a bit of a judgment card moment. You've got to do it. You've got to rise up to the occasion. And the first reading, was it the first or the second? Anyway, I'm pretty sure it was the first reading. This woman comes in and she asks about relationship. That's what she said. I want to know about my relationship. And so I did a spread, and I distinctly remember thinking, nothing was showing in the spread about being in a relationship with someone. I have a clear memory of drawing the King of Swords as the advice card for her. And so, I'm describing this energy, and I'm telling her, this isn't, I'm not saying about you meeting anyone new or anything like that. In fact, the King of Swords, has these qualities, blah, 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 and this is what you need to bring into your life. And then she tells me, well, the relationship that she had in mind was a relationship with her ex-husband, and they were in a fairly acrimonious custody battle with their children. And I also remember drawing the Three of Swords about, the situation with her children, which is a card of heartbreak and difficulty. And I did ask her, do you have 3 children? Because I don't know. This is where your intuition comes in. Like, the Three of Swords doesn't mean the number 3 necessarily. It doesn't mean that she had 3 children necessarily. It simply meant a lot of heartbreak and difficulty surrounding her children. But your intuition, when you start reading for the public, will come to you in these sort of really weird, spontaneous moments where you almost say something. Well, you do say something and you're sort of wondering where did that come from, but it comes from within. It comes from your intuitive faculty. And yes, she did have 3 children. But I do remember the reading, as the reading progressed, it got fairly serious and fairly intense, like really, really intense for me. And that's something that I really wasn't prepared for, I have to say, is that you will get people, even at festivals where readings are only 10 minutes or 20 minutes in duration, that will come to you with significant challenges in their life. I was very naive. I don't know what I thought. I mean, I knew that people don't come to a tarot reader because everything is going really good in their life and they just want to have a chat about how amazing their life is. Like, if you're a tarot reader who has these sort of clients, then that's fantastic. And how do you get in that position? Because my experience since then has been that, people come and see you because they have difficulties in their life. But I just didn't think that it would be that intense. That reading for me was particularly intense, and of course I still remember it. Now, I'm not saying this to scare you. As I said before, if you really want to put yourself out there and practice as a reader, you've got to do it, and you've got to go out there, and you're going to get clients that will ask some difficult questions and will have some fairly difficult circumstances surrounding them, as was the case here. And from memory, of course, my intuition telling me that, and the cards telling me that there was no one else showing up as a relationship, because I was trying to see, where is there like a romantic potential in this tarot spread, and nothing was there. And of course the reason it wasn't there because the relationship that she had in her mind was about the relationship with her ex-husband and what was going to happen to the custody of their 3 children. They were going to court over it. It was a very, very intense reading for me. But don't let that put you off reading tarot for other people. If anything, just allow it to give you a sense of preparation. Not every reading in that festival was like that, of course, but I remember that was my first time practicing tarot as a reader, getting money, getting paid to do that. And I haven't looked back since. I'm, of course, really glad I did it, even though by the end of my shift, which was only, I think, an hour or 2 hours at most in length, so it wasn't like a big shift, and we were sharing the tent, the tarot reading tent, with other readers. So of course not every reading was like that, but I did have 1 or 2 that were fairly difficult, especially when you're 28 or how old was I? I think I was 30. You know, I was 30 and I wasn't married. I didn't have kids, so it's hard to relate when you haven't had those experiences as well. But I'm still so glad I did it, and I will always be grateful for my teacher for offering and giving me the chance to read at a festival. I did my best. I think this is the thing with new readers. If people knew that you're a new reader, they might not come and see you. But they didn't know that, you know, that we had a mix of readers of all ages there, and they didn't know that we were beginner readers. But that doesn't mean that I did not give each and every person that came to see me for a reading, I gave them all I had. Like, I really focused on the spread and on their questions and on themselves. If anything, I feel like I gave too much, like I put so much into it. Because this is my first time as a reader, of course, so you just go all out and try your best to help the person in front of you. So anyway, that was my first time reading professionally for the wider public. I'd love to know if anyone else has other experiences of their first time as a tarot reader that they would like to share. I'm always fascinated to see how people get started, particularly for paying clients, which is different to friends and family. You know, friends and family are much more forgiving. If you you know, beat around the bush, or you know, you can take your time with friends and family. But when you have a person that you don't know from the public come and sit down in front of you for 20 minutes and that's all you have, like that's all you have, and you've got to know or have some idea of what spreads you're going to do for them, and you've got to, of course, know your cards. You must have studied them for a length of time before that, and it is a fantastic way to gain experience, you know. So anyhow, I'm gonna ramble on if I keep on going, but thank you very much for watching. If any of you have read professionally out there in the wider world, have read for clients that you don't know anything about, I would love to hear your experiences as a first-time tarot reader. Thank you for watching.